Hey everyone, let's start from yesterday. So we broke something. Let me verify if my voice is okay. Okay, sounds good to me. Just verify again. Microphone. Okay. So we broke something yesterday. Let's try to fix that and then we'll move. Let's run this application so we know the error. Serve workspace. Mhm. Okay, where is my console? Mhm. Yeah, I'm not able to type anything here. Let's see. Mhm. Okay, let's close, exit, and then start again. Oh my God. Mhm. Okay. I think I should look at my extensions. It is the VS Code is like very slow. Anyways, it should be ready now. So serve workspace and executing. Okay. So if you remember, last Friday we got some issue while integrating NgRx, and then I saw that okay, we should rock. We should actually read docs very carefully, and that was the issue. So let's go ahead and fix that, and then we'll move on to few. I want to show you one amazing Angular 16 feature, but let's see. Look, it was 4200. Let's fix this issue first. Okay, so we saw that okay, after making or introducing our NgRx store, we are getting this null value here. It's actually, yeah, you can see it's null. And there was some error. So you can see it says cannot read properties of undefined categories. So let's go ahead and fix that first. So let's see what we have to do. So it was all related to my store. The first thing is the way to register it. So we made this provide store. So this is not the right way to do it. So the correct way to register your store is there should be an provide store, empty provide store for root. And then there you have to provide state. So the next thing will be actually not provide store, it will be provide state. So you have to, I mean, you can create multiple states as you want. So this will be their features. And then once we did that, we started getting this error. So let's go ahead and fix it. So to actually fix this, we have to pass a feature here. And how to create a feature? So there is a create feature API which exists inside NgRx. So I'll just remove this as of now. Let's keep this empty. I will not save the file because anyways we'll get the error. So we have to go to our reducer file. I mean, this is where we can do it, or we can also do it in selector. So few things which is needed here is, of course, we if you remember, we did create feature selector last time here, and then we need a create feature. So You can use create feature API. So you can see what I'm calling it is it as a category feature, which uses create feature API from NgRx store. And then it has two parameter called name and then reducer. So let's import the reducer because it's not imported any right now. So it's giving me an error. And you have to use the same feature here and here. So to avoid this duplication, I mean, what we can also do is we can say const, uh, this is category feature key. And then we can define this key and then use this const at both places. I mean, just in case, because of course, if it's a string, there are chances that there will be typo. So to avoid this typos, just prefer this. Okay, so we created our feature, and I think there is something which is missing here. There is a comma. Let's close this. So we added what we did so far. We replaced the APIs in our app module, right? Sorry, config. And then we have to use this feature. Go back to our config file and we can use this feature here. And nothing changes else. I mean, so rest of things remain same. Let's go ahead and see our application. We should see at least the categories. We can see, okay, and now the call is being made. I think this was something which was happening last time as well. But yeah, let's move on. And so you can see now we are actually getting this data from the NgRx store. So the way it is working is like let's see the flow. So how NgRx is working here. We have this effects to handle our API calls. We have our reducers. So let's see where I can see where we can see our files. So because of course once you run work on production, you may have to actually debug your code as well, right? So you can always click on this webpack and then you will see all the files which you have in your code. So here we have reducer. Let's add a reducer and let's add a breakpoint on our reducer and then let's refresh the page. And you can see as we are calling an action called get categories action, we are dispatching an action, not calling, but we are dispatching an action called get categories action. It is handled by the effects which is registered in root. If you miss to register this effects here, I mean, it will not be called, of course, because it will never know which action needs to be handled. You can, of course, have multiple effects here. You can like give comma and then add multiple. So this action stream is actually the actions which are being dispatched from our application. So where we are dispatching our application action, the first action. So if you go to, if let's say we open our app component.ts file, this is where we are actually dispatching our action. So this action will be dispatched. It's like broadcasted, right? And then it will check with its effects which are registered. So if there are any effects, I mean, effects are, of course, you have reducers as well, right? So effects and reducers, it will be checked with everyone that if you are handling this particular effect. And then here, if you see that, let's go back to the browser. So here, so this is the action stream which we are getting, and then we are saying, okay, if this action is actually type of this get categories action, handle it here. It will not handle any other action. Remember this. So it will only capture the get categories action right now here, and you can of course pass multiple actions as well in case you want to handle them. Then we are using merge map. We are saying, okay, whatever stream of data which is coming from my response, I want to merge this and respond on a single stream. So you can actually see this all this information on my uh, or you can actually learn more about like this merge map operator, switch map operator on my Angular course on FreeCodeCamp. But you can also go to rx.dev, rxjs.dev, which is the official website. And then you can also search for, let's say, what merge map does. Like, yeah. So here, if you see, I mean, it will just merge multiple streams and it will give you a single stream. So here, the example which we have is a table, right? Table of 1 and then table of 3, sorry, 1 multiplied by 10 and then 3 multiplied by 10 and 5 multiplied by 10. And it's asynchronous, so that's what we are saying. It is saying that, okay, the sequence is not guaranteed here. Let's go back to our workspace and then, okay, press let's play, and then it goes to our API call. It will make an API call and it will see, okay, if this is an successful request, it will go ahead and dispatch this action, which is categories action success. So let's see, we dispatch this action and then it goes to our reducer captures this, and what we do is we take all the categories, put it into our categories property, which we already have available here, and that's it. So we get this data available into our store. So this is the entire flow, the way it is working. But hey Deepak, hi, thanks for joining. So but let's say if you want to debug it, right? I mean, it's okay, we have a debugger, but what in case I can see this data, or I can see the sequence of actions which is being dispatched from our application. So this is where another NgRx package or comes very handy. It's known as uh, DevTools. So if you go to developer tools, you have NgRx store DevTools. Let's install this. So far what we have is we already have the data. So now we want to see it in our DevTools, so we can actually go ahead and see, I mean, the sequence in which our actions are dispatched. What is the state at that particular time of once the actions are dispatched or successful, right? So let's install. So we cannot just directly run ng-add. So what we will do is we can say we are using npm, if I'm not wrong, is npm install NgRx store DevTools at latest, and then of course follow the instruction which is given in the docs. I mean, we can do it manually or we can just. So it says if the project is using a standalone bootstrap, it adds provides store DevTools, and then this line. So let's see what it does. So let's let it install the DevTools first, and then we will add this line here after this. And if you're, I can also show you the thing which we missed, right? So if you see here for standalone application, when we do this, so if you see it adds provide store actually. So this is empty. So that's where we missed it. And then we ended up getting this error. So we have to provide store, and then based on number of features we have, we can have multiple provide states. Okay, so this is installed. Let's add the line which we copied from the docs. We'll import these APIs, store DevTools, is dev mode, which is coming from, I think, Angular core. And this is it. So we registered this, but what is this? I mean, what advantage it brings to us? So let's go. It's already, hey Deepak, this is already public. I mean, this is already, you can also see the past streams as well. So everything is available on my channel. And what happened to the other? What happened to the other commands? Okay, no problem. npx next and my application name. So we have. So let's go back to our web application, right? So we have this, and let's get smaller. So after installing this, you have to do one more thing. You have to install an extension. So you have to look for React Dev Tools. So you have to install this, I already have it installed, so I will not do this. So it says, okay, remove from Chrome, but already have it. So once you have installed React DevTools, you have configured this into your code base, you can go back to extensions. Of course, you know where to find your extension, right? So you have Redux, and then you can see all the actions which is being dispatched from our application here. So you can see the first is store is initialized, then there are something known as update reducers, then there is effects, of course, NgRx effects. Then you have get categories, right? So at this point, we actually dispatch our action to get the categories. So that action is handled here. And then you have get categories success. So you can see at this point, you have categories, list of categories, and what was the action which was dispatched, and you can see the state here. So you can see category, which is my key, then we have categories, which is list of categories, and it is available into our store. So this is how you will integrate NGRX store, right? And then now let's see one example, because now the next task which we have to do is we have to actually replace all these links with this uh, categories which is coming from here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we have to do one more thing, which is uh, creating a route, right? Once you click on this, of course, something should happen. Once someone should handle this route. So we have to do that as well. So first thing first, let's create our routes. So we have our main nav, and here, so rather than actually having this categories here, because it doesn't make sense to have these categories, we will have these categories here. And then we'll also inject the store. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say constructor, store, and then import from NGRX store. And we also need this selector. So we'll say, okay, oh, it's coming from org/category. And we got this category stream. Let's go ahead and replace this mat nev list with our anchor tags, right? So these are like right now static, right? So we have to create multiple times. Let's go ahead and do that. So how we can do it? So we can actually have an ng container, right? And I'll say ng for category of categories. Type, I think. And inside this, let's close this category. Sorry, container, and then we can have multiple anchor tags. I'll just remove this. Rather than href, we will have router link. But you can see right now it's giving me, it's not giving me any uh, intelligence because we are using the single standalone APIs, right? So to get the intelligence, we have to import them. So either I can just say I need router module, right? I can import an entire router module, or I can just say give me router link. So because router link is also a directive, right? So I can actually just import router link because that's what we need right now. And here I'll just say, okay, this router link should look like uh, what we should do that. How we should I mean create a route. So link router link, and then I can say category and comma. So opening, what is this? Opening tag A not terminated. It is terminated, but I think so there is one extra. Yeah. And then I can have this as category. And so I think it looks correct to me. Let's see. Let's run this and see what we get here. Okay, cool. So we have electronics, we have jewelry. Let's see the URLs if it is getting changed. It is not, because let's see why. Because it says A. you created some routes, but actually no one is there to handle these routes. What you want to do with this? So cannot match any routes because we haven't configured any. So what we want next is we want some UI which takes these categories and then displays all the product related to this category. So first thing is what we need. We have to go to the API, right? We have to go ahead and see the API, what API we should be using. So what is that? Product? No. Mm, See, fake store API. Okay, so this is the API we are using, fake store API, and let's go to the docs. And we have get all, which gives me all the products which we don't need right now. We can actually use it for home, which we'll do later. But the next thing which we want to do is, sorry, card products. Yeah, get all categories, get products in specific category. So this is the API which we want. So we pass like, okay, what is the what is the category, and then based on this category we get all the products. Let's go ahead and see how we can do that. So here we can actually start writing the store for product, because this is all related to product, right? So we get the category, we get the product for that category, but we also need all products as well. And we also need single product. I mean, let's see the output. So get single product. Where is this? Get all product, get single product. Yes. So what we have, ID, title, price, category, description, image, and I think it should have the same output for this one as well. ID, title. Okay, cool. So we have close to 30 products, which is nice. So let's implement our store for product. And something is not saved. Which file? Which file? App component.ts. Okay, save this, and we should remove here this categories, otherwise we will get an exception, of course, because this does not exist anymore. So before actually we go to this, let's create an UI, because I want to show you one nice feature of Angular 16 which is related to router. So to do that, we will create a new library. We will say okay, nx generate. We'll say okay, we want a library, and register service worker. What happened to this? Why it is complaining about service worker? Okay, let's see. Create a library. Let me just reload this VS Code. Let's close existing files so we can start from empty screen again. So here, let's go back. I think it should work now. History restored, that's fine. Hmm. Great. So it's back. Let's generate a library, and we will say, okay, this is related to product, right? So we have this related to product. I'll name this library as product, and we have this as buildable. As we said, we will create all the libraries as buildable by default. We'll see like why. Uh, and it's generating library. Okay, so I think I just did a spelling mistake. Is it because I can see product, but the name is correct here. Okay, let's copy this. I don't know why it's behaving very strange. Non-active, and I'll say product. This is the new library which we'll create. And let's also do one thing. I'll just stage all the changes before this. So let's see. Okay, and we have our product. So what we need here is we need a component which takes the category and then how to get this category, which is important. So to do that, I'll go ahead and create next generate. I'll say, okay, let's go ahead and create a component and we'll call it this as product because this is the main component which we have. Run this. Required property project is missing. Okay, bye. So product. Okay. So okay. So our product component is here, and to achieve this new thing, I mean, okay, I missed one thing. Okay, so let's delete this because I want to create a standalone component because as we discussed, we will be using standalone APIs and standalone components. We will not use the modules, Angular modules. So product, standalone, and again, it is getting some, it is giving me some issue. So I'll just copy this and let's go back here and pass hyphen stand alone flag. So I get a standalone component. Let's close this. Great. So now we have a standalone component. Of course, you can recognize it using this standalone flag, which is here. So what we need is we want to create a configuration first, right? So we want to handle this navigation which we created. So we have a URL called category slash category. I mean category name basically. So let's go ahead and create a route, right? So we can go to this app route file which is inside app routes. And right now it's empty. So there is actually no configuration which exists. So let's see. First, let's add some route. You can say path empty. And in case of, let's say, if we have an empty path, we want to actually load the home page, which will be basically our product page, right? Because we get all the products. We will do that later. First, let's go ahead and do this. Let's handle this navigation, which is category slash some category name. So to do that, we will create a dynamic route, right? This is what we used to do. Or in case you're like seeing this for the first time, this is how we actually configure dynamic routes because this last parameter, which can be anything, right? Which is basically a placeholder, which can be replaced at runtime. So we can say category slash something which can be replaced. We have to place colon and then give a name. This name does matter. So let's see how and where this matters. But let's see one more thing. Now we based on this route configuration, we have to load a component. So with a standalone component, and we have standalone APIs for sure, but we can also do one thing. So far in Angular, we used to lazy load modules. Now we can say load component. So this is the new API which is available with standalone APIs. So now we can say, okay, we need our product module. So I can say at the rate or slash product, and then we have to export our product component which we have created here. So remember, first rule of library: once you create something and you want to use it outside, you have to add this into your index file. So this is your like what you can say, the API layer. So this is from where you will export everything. So I can say, okay, I want to actually export this product slash product component. So let's do this. And now we will have our product component available here. But there is one more thing. I mean, uh, this line, I mean, this is always has been not a confusion, but this has always been a practice that we should have dot then to load a module or to load a component. What if I tell you this is optional? Yes, that's something which you can do with Angular 16. You can actually just, you have to make few changes. I mean, I'll tell you what. The first thing which you have to do is make this class as default. Once you make this, I mean, once you make this default, because this is the component which we are trying to lazy load, it will already start giving you an error. So if you read this error carefully, it says property does not exist on type of because of default import. In default import, it's not the name, right? I mean, the name does not exist. In that case, I can just remove this. I can just say, okay, load component and import org. Okay, what happened? Because product slash, uh, I'm missing here. Because I cannot do feature. I mean, I cannot just directly say, because I cannot just directly say, okay, for time being, I mean, this works because this is a library and I cannot just import a single component, right? I mean, generally when you create a library, you import multiple things. What we can do in future is we can move this routing configuration inside the product, and then we will replace this just for like letting you know this is possible. You don't have to actually write dot then, but this is a library, so that's why I'm getting this issue. But we'll fix that. We'll actually just move this routing configuration anyways inside the library in future. So we have this routing configuration. So it says category slash name. When this path is triggered or when this route is triggered, just go ahead and load this component. So now we are at very minor level, right? So earlier it was module, which we used to lazy load. Now we can actually just lazy load a component. So less number of codes basically, and less API or less bundle size for you. So category slash name, we have load component. Let's go ahead and see what happens if this is working or not. And I have to serve my application again because it stopped. So I can say npx annex serve and my workspace name. So there are many interesting things which has changed with standalone components, and you can do some amazing stuff. So of course we have this, and let's refresh. Let's see our navbar. Okay, I'll just remove this. Click on this and you can see the URL is rendered. There is nothing here, no exception, right? So we move to different categories and it works. So it works. There is nothing which is breaking. But if you see this, I mean, there is no component. Where is my product component? So if you see product component, I mean, at least there should be product works, which is not rendered. So why? So let's go back to our nav bar because this is the answer is here. If you see the contents is empty. So what should be our content? So we have to have router outlet, of course. If you don't place your router outlet, nothing will work. But again, this gives an error because we are using standalone component and we decided not to import router module, which is the entire router. So here I can just import router outlet because router outlet is also a directive. And with Angular 16, Angular team has made all this pipes directives as standalone. So they can be imported individually. And now product works. So if you navigate to different categories, we have product works, which makes sense because yeah, this is what we wanted to achieve, that based on different categories, we should render our product component. But as we move on to different categories, let's say I want to display which category is this selected. And let me show you how easy it has become with Angular 16 and this amazing work which Angular team has done. So just be ready to be amazed. Now, to bind this data, I mean, I'll show you, probably I'll not show you. It's okay. So in case you have worked on Angular in past, I mean, you have to use activated route service. I'm just telling you to developers who might have actually worked on Angular before. But if you're new to Angular and you are using Angular 16 and above, and you have this scenario where you want to actually bind this information, this name, to our component, let's see how to do that, how easy it is. So first thing which I will do is I'll create an input property. Input property is something which is a property which someone can pass to this component. So in case you have used Angular before, you know this as uh, I mean, you know this that this property which you define here becomes an what you can say attribute on your HTML class which you define, or a property on the HTML class you have, for example, org product. So I can actually use this. If I define this as input, I can use it like this, org product, and then I can pass a product property like this. With Angular 16 and above, you can use this property to bind the router information as well. So here we have this property called name. So let's go ahead and change this to not name, but category name. And let's see what happens once we create the same property name here. And I'll make this a string. And by default, I'll just keep it as empty. Category name. Let's print here. So I'll say this is h1 and category name. Let's see. Click on electronics. Okay, I don't have any information available here. Product.ts input. Okay. Because we are missing one important property. So this is something which is available with Angular 16 and above, and we have to make it available using the configuration. So we have to provide a configuration. I basically don't remember what's the name. So let's go ahead and look into the API. I think I have an demo available somewhere, and let's see. So I think GitHub repositories, and yeah, this is the app. So I had already created demo just thing like few months ago. So SRC, and we have to register this routes app module. Mhm. What happened here? So, because this is the another app. I have code inside SRC app. Okay, let's see. So the API should be here, and what we need is app main, app module, and then provide router. Yes, this is what I need. Here I'll just add with router, and input binding. I think this should be list of feature if I'm not wrong. Routes. I think this is okay. With component input binding, import from Angular router. And once you do this, hopefully what I'm trying to show you should work here now. And let's reload. And you can see once we click on electronics, jewelry, men's clothing, we are actually getting the same information which is available into our route with a single line of code. If you think, I mean, not single, but two lines of code, right? I mean, the first line is this, which is very important with component input binding. Once you add this property into your provide router, actually not property, but a function. Once you add this function into your provide router, it actually attaches all the properties which you pass using routes with your input properties in case you have them defined. For example, I mean, this is not only with this property, right? So let's say a route can have a property called data. Data is where you can pass anything. I mean, you can pass multiple properties. I mean, there's some static information. So for example, I want to pass a data. Yeah, let's take this animation, right? So this is the animation property. So you once you do this, I mean, once you actually attach here, I'll say @input, and we have an animation. Hopefully this works. Animation and save, and let's display this animation here. We can see this category page, right? What we defined it as a data property on our route is actually available here. So, I mean, in case you just missed this, let me just zoom in, and you have category page, right? Because we pass this information from our route. And we don't have to write any single line of code. I mean, you don't have to use, in case previously, if you have used activated route, you don't have to use activated route anymore. You can just create an input property and you get all the information which you need from your router. You get query params, whatever. I mean, if you have resolve properties, you get resolve properties from here. Everything is available with single line of code now. So I'll keep this example as it is, and let's do the next task. I mean, so we got this working. I mean, we have our config, sorry, not config, but we have all categories available here. So just remove this, and I'll put an control line. I think this is HR, what we are looking for. And then probably let's now make an API call to get this information. So let's set up the store. We have 15 minutes, probably we'll be able to do that. So I have product, and then let's create the store. So this is of course store related to product, right? So we have, we'll create few files. Also, I think, so I was looking at this stream from Brandon Roberts, which of course, one of my friends suggested on Twitter. So Brandon actually adds all this file into a single file. So here I'm creating multiple files to spread my reducer action because I have a habit of doing this. But I also like what Brandon did. So everything into a single file, because with help of some APIs, you can actually really reduce a code a lot. So, but let's follow the same convention as of now. Product dot action dot ts, and let's see if we had the same naming convention here. Yep, product action. We need product reducer. We need to make an API call for sure. So we need product dot reducer. Then we have selector ts, and then we have not folder file, product dot effects dot ts, and this is it, right? So we generally create 4 files. So we have action, effects, reducer, selectors. Okay, perfect. So let's write our action. So I'll create export const get product for category. So we pass category name as string. Sorry, um, I have to write an action, not the reducer. So I'll say this is create action. So let's see something called create action group. I mean, as we are actually anyways learning about NgRx, let's learn about the different APIs we have. So create action is in case you want to create each and I mean one action at a time, right? I mean you can have a create a get product category for sorry, get product for category. Same example, I mean I'll show you the category, right? So we had to create three different actions, so we use three different create action APIs. But if you think about this, I mean, all this are related, right? I mean, they are related to category. I mean, we could have actually grouped them together, but earlier there was no similar API which existed. I think this create action group API was created long ago. I mean, not with Angular 16 for sure. It was available for quite a few months. Sorry, for years, not months. Let's see how to use it. So let's go back to our best friend, which is documentation. So let's see create action group. And so this is how you can create. So you can provide a source. So my source is product. Let's pass source. So I'll say this is my source product. And then you provide some events. The events which will happen on product. So the first one is see how so events. So if you see this is string, and in case you get some you pass some properties, you have actually props. So let's define them. So I'll say this is product get products for category, and here we have to define our props, and this props should come from NgRx store, and then we define what are those properties. So let's go to our signature, and we have, I think we just have category name, and then we have this is the function, so we have to make sure we don't miss this. So let's add this before we miss this, and then we end up having some error. So I'll say this is name, which is of like string, right? And we'll say, okay, get product for success, get product for failure. So we don't have this products. Let's say a string of array. But if you see this product which is coming from API, let's go back to the API doc. It says there will be few properties: ID, title, price, category, description, and image. So we need to have an interface of type this, right? So let's create our interface product. Let's copy this and let's replace with actual properties, name, title, price. So I think that should be number. Category is string. Of course, we already have a category. We can actually skip this, but let's take the information which they are passing, right? So we have this one. So I'll just export it because we want this information once we write our reducer. And I'll say this is products array because there can be multiple, right? I mean, for each category, we can have multiple product. So we have three events: get product for category, get product for category success, get product for category failure. And the source is product. I think we can remove this as per the documentation, what it says. So auth API, right? I mean, they don't have, yeah, the box. So I think this is added by default, if I'm not wrong. And If not, I mean, we learn something that this API, this doc is wrong, and then we can probably go ahead and raise a PR for this. But I hope this works. Okay. So we created our action. So we used the new API called create action group rather than create action. Otherwise, we have to write it like 3 times, and we don't want to repeat ourselves, right? I mean, don't repeat yourself, DIY. But let's go back to reducer. We should write reducer next. And for reducer also, I think there should be new APIs. Is it? Let's see. I don't think so. Create reducer has create reducer. I think there is one for selectors, but who knows? Yeah, I think it's okay. Create reducer is create reducer. So we'll create export const product. One more thing. I mean, once you name your reducer, right? Just don't name them reducer. I mean, so this is an mistake a lot of teams make. They just name it reducer, and then once they start importing it, they I mean it causes a conflict because you cannot just export two variable with the same name. So it's better to have give them a name, a proper name. What we need? So we need create reducer API. We need on API. We need our product model for sure. We need our action. So let's see how to you use this action, right? So that's something which you have to learn about. And create action group. This is how to dispatch it. So we can say login success, login failure. Oh, this is interesting. So it makes this login success into login success. It converts them into a camel case. This is camel case. So I think we should keep our actions names short because this will be get product for category. Oh my God, it will be a mess. So I'll say load product for time being. Load product, and then we can say this is because this is for a category. So I just product success product failure. Okay, so now we will get short names, right? We will get login success, login failure, like this, and we should change this to product actions. Let's see what naming convention they are following here. Okay, I think this is okay. Product actions, and let's import them. While this is getting failed, product is declared, but it's okay. I mean, we'll use it eventually. And should not come from product model, right? I mean, this is from action product dot export. Okay, and actions. So we need a state, and I'll say, okay, this is product state, which has products, which is product array. What else we can have here? So we can also have product count, number of product we want to display on the page, product count, which is number. What else? Error, of course. Uh, what else we can have? Okay, filters, but let's do them later because we can have filters on price, name, no, price category probably. So we'll add them later on. It's okay. And then we need to have initial state, and let's define the initial values, error, okay, and then initial state. And now this is interesting. So I have to product actions dot. Okay, I don't see anything. So it says I should get product actions dot load product in this case, right? So create action group. Once we import them, we should have something like this. So product actions Okay, so we don't get this information here. Interesting. So how to handle this? Let's okay. So create action group. I know Marco had some blog on this. Mm, NgRx action. Hmm. Okay, so this create action, this is create group, and then product page actions dot opened. But where is my typing limitations? Yeah, okay. We can define different names for the event and action creator using create action. Okay, but hmm, how to use them? Create action group. Example, create action. See. Okay, this is from Alex. Action creators. Yeah, oh, okay. Okay, this is very old. Okay, anyways, we can actually just go to the docs and see. We have some example here. NgRx data example app. So let's see app, and what I'm looking for is create action group. Let's see. So this is an example. This looks like the internal implementation. This is not the case with create action group. Create action spec. Create action group. Hmm. This is interesting. I mean, I don't see any example of using it. Projects. I think this is something which looks, okay. So here it is. So book API actions dot retrieve booked list. How they are getting the typings? I am not getting any typings. Michael, hey, teaching Angular from scratch. Currently got an intern role and they use Angular. Looking for really good resources to start learning Angular with. Hey, Michael, thanks for joining. So you can actually start with this is like NgRx, Angular, and NX. So if you want to really like start from basics, I will suggest go to YouTube, go to and search for Angular getting started. And I already have a course like this is close to 800K views. Uh, Start from here, and once you're done, then come back to the stream. I mean, this all videos will be available online, so you don't have to anyways like miss anything. Just watch this video. It's a 17 hours of course, and you will learn a lot, and then come back here because this talks about Angular 16 and above, the latest APIs in NgRx, what how we you can use NX as well. So right now I'm just figuring out the new APIs which is created in NgRx 6, not 16, but yeah, long time ago, probably 14 or 15. So we have create action group. So retrieve book list, and then says book API action. Book API action. Where is book API action? Okay, so this is book API action, and then dot retrieved booked list. So this is how we handle it. Let's try. Let's try. I mean, so here I can say initial state and then on product actions dot load product, and Is that? And then comma, state, and products and books. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. State and load product. What it takes is category. So I think this should be okay. This is name, uh, name, and it. And should we save this? I mean, load product should be handled by effects, not this. So okay, so not here, not here. So product. Uh, Michael, thank you so much. Also connected with you on LinkedIn earlier today. I was looking for engineer who uses Angular. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, thanks for connecting. Product success. Let's call this one product success. Product success. But just in case, Michael, I generally don't post that much on LinkedIn. In case you want to connect, probably Twitter is the better place. You can follow there. I mean, there are a lot of experts. All the Angular experts are mostly on Twitter. So I mean, in last few months, there are people who have might have moved on to this one, but to LinkedIn, but mostly they are not there. But I think this is because this is an action. So if I can actually do like this action and action dot products and product count, I think it's okay. Error is okay. And let's see what is the issue here. So this says expression is not callable. Why? Create reducer. Am I making a mistake here? So okay, because I don't have to pass this as curly brackets. So I'm just doing this an extra. Okay, so action product is missing the following properties: product ID, title, price, category, and two more. Why? Action dot products. Hmm. Okay, so somehow it gives you typing, but I mean it's not auto completing, but it is giving me it's not giving me an error, and it gives me typings. Wow, this is amazing. So ah, okay, believe me, I'm trying this API for the first time, and I'm amazed for sure. So product's empty, product count is empty, error is error, and I see some lack of developer experience, of course, because I will prefer my intelligence to actually figure it out for me, but I can understand that this might be a limitation with the create action group, right? So you have to type it by hand. So we created create action group. We used it in our reducer. Wow, we did a lot. And I think we should stop. I think we have done more than enough for today. And tomorrow, what we will do is we will use the another good API or amazing API of NgRx called create effects. So we already had create effects, but I think there is now a standalone API for creating effects. Let's see if there is an example here. I don't think so, but there should be. Books collection. Okay, let's see. Effects. Because I read the release note and it says they have standalone version for effects as well. So because basically functional effects. Sorry, I was just confusing the name. So functional effects, there is functional effects as well. So we should use that, and we'll do that tomorrow. So yeah, that's it for the day. We were able to fix our main issue, and let's do a quick recap. What we did, we created this dynamic routes, and then we were able to see how we can use the new Angular 16 router APIs to just bind my router information by creating the input properties. We don't have to use activated route anymore. So that's what we did for today. And then we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good night, and see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.